All right. Thank you again for tuning in early. Hold on 1 second. Yeah, hello. Sorry. You hear me? Yeah. All right. No, my kids tried to get me into a lounge, but the lounge, they said, is more packed than outside the lounge. Okay. So it's up to Mishna. So today we talk about a get that gets lost. A lost get, and then we get into regular Hilchos HaShavas Avedim because of it. Yeah, you can hear me clear? You hear me clear?
Yes.
Okay, good. So it's up to Mishnah. Maybe again, somebody brings a get, meaning a shliach brings a get, and it gets lost from him. So then, meaning he lost the get. The shliach lost the get. So matzul la'alter, if he finds it right away, then it's kosher. If lav, puzzle. And if not, then it's puzzle. Now, because what are we worried about? Because otherwise it's not going to be for the right person, right? And then it's not lishma. It's not his get. Meaning, if it was found immediately, then you could assume that this was the get. But if it was found later on, how do you know it's not somebody else's get with the same names? We'll see more of that in the Gemara. Matzul b'chafisa. But the Gemara is going to say in tomorrow's Daf Hashem, if you find it in some sort of in some sort of utensils, then in makiroi kosher, if the shliach recognizes the utensils, then it's going to be kosher. Meaning, because there he recognizes that this was the get, and this is the get that he had it hit. This was the container that he had it hidden in. Fine. So it's like the Gemara. Okay, so the Mishnah says that the get, if it's found right away, it's okay. What's the shear right away? Well, is at the end of Amud beis. So the middle of the Gemara asks the kasha, "Matzah gittin noshim shechuri avodim." The idea is if you find the gittin noshim, shechuri avodim, that's what avodim are. The star the avodim get to go free. The itiki is a will that somebody writes, somebody who's dying writes. Matanis, if you find a star that you're giving something over to as a present, v'shoivrim, or receipts, areza lo yaseh. You cannot give it back, right? Shani Aimer Ksuban Hayu, because why don't you give it back? Because I said that it was written. And maybe the person who wrote it is going to change his mind, and he doesn't want to give it. So by you giving it to the recipient, then you have a problem because the guy maybe is going to use that star when it wasn't meant to be. So what does it say? Ha'omar tnu. If that's only because the guy who's named in the star says not to give it. But if he did say to give it, nice thing you give it. And it doesn't say this price, it doesn't say anything about time, right? It says even for Zman Meruba. So Amar Rabah, like Kasha, right? So you see that our Mishna says it only if you find it right away. And this Braysa clearly is saying that if you find it even later, as long as the guy who's in charge of giving the star says it's legit, so then it's legit. So it should work. So Amar Rabah, like Kasha, Kamba Makom Shiyoris Mitsuyas, Kamba Makom Shena Shiyoris Mitsuyas. So Shiyoris are caravans, right? Meaning trains, planes, automobiles, whatever it is, that there are people constantly traveling back and forth. So there, since the people constantly traveling back and forth, so then we have to be faisha that it came from somebody else. But if it's in a place that it's a very small town and there aren't people constantly traveling back and forth, then we could assume that star is legitimate, even if it's found after a long time. So then the Gemara qualifies this. It says, and even if it's a makom that the caravans are found, but we have to know there has to be a chazaka that there's two Yosef and Shimon's in that city. Because if you don't say this, kashem the Rabah, because if you don't say that, we know for sure that there's at least two fellows with the same name in town, and you have a stira and Rabah.
Why does Shayar's Mitzvahs make a difference then? For character, Shayar's Mitzvahs should be that it has to be within that town. What does Shayar's Mitzvahs have to do with that? Why would Shayar's Mitzvahs, if Shayar's Mitzvahs means that people are going and coming into that town, Meaning, and it's more likely that another get with similar names from a different town, l'chayra, otherwise, who cares about Sheretz Mitzuyos, would create a problem. They'd be bringing in a similar get, and it's not the get you found.
Right.
So that's exactly. You have to be hofsaku that in this town there's two Yosef ben Shimon's. How does that work with Sheretz Mitzuyos? Two are diametrically opposed.
Right. So no, you're saying a good thing. So it comes out that the Gemara, in order to be chayshid that the get is puzzle, the Gemara has you need to meet two requirements for it to be puzzle. One, there has to be shiyaris mitzuyas, meaning you have to have people traveling back and forth, and you have to know that there's two people with the same name. If you're missing one or the other, one second. If you're missing if you're missing one or the other, right? And then we're going to assume that this get is the proper get. You're muted, Rabah.
Building on what Akiva said, how do you know there's two people with that name? You're flying into Kennedy Airport tonight. Or LaGuardia. Kennedy Airport has 1 million people. They have 1 million people a week coming into Kennedy Airport. You could presume there's two guys named Yosef ben Shimon, but you don't know.
Oh, so I think you're correct. You have to know.
But how do you establish that chazaka?
Who has to know?
That's what I think he's asking. That was bothering me also. How do you establish that chazaka?
I guess if it's known to Bezdin that there's two people in town, I don't think we're talking about big cities. So if you knew that there were two people with the same name, then you're chayshid that the get might have come from one of them, but you also need shiyaris mitzuyos. See what Akiva's asking, but shiyaris mitzuyos should be the opposite. The shiyaris mitzuyos means that maybe there's more of a chance of it coming from other people. That's what you're saying.
I think there's a good possibility that there's another Menachem Mendel than Abraham down. If you know there are more than one Menachem Mendel, then it doesn't work. Can't use it.
You mean without the father, without knowing the father's name?
If it's a common name, then yes. Like if it's a David, then chances are there's a Menachem Mendel ben David in Crown Heights. No?
I would say if you know, yeah. You're right. That's what the Island was saying yesterday with
but we don't know what his wife's name is. How would you know what a married lady's name is?
Well, you'd need his name and you'd need his wife's name, right?
Well, how should you know a married lady's name? Well, she's Mrs. Schneerson. You don't know her first name.
Mushka.
Well,
what we're making up. That's what we're making up.
Yeah. But that's the chiddush that Rabah is saying, that it has to be a situation. The only time that we're chayshid that this get did not come from the person that it was written about is if we know that there's another couple with the same names, right? And Shana Mitzi and Shiyaris Mitzuyis, right? You need to have both. That's exactly what Rabah's chiddush is, which l'chayr is a big chiddush, right? Okay, so because you don't say this, then you have a kstira in Rabah. Kasha the Rabah. Who gita the shtaka beitin the Ravuna? There was a get that was found in the bezdin of Ravuna. Now the ksivbe, and it was written in it, the Shivri Masa Dal Rachim Nara in Shivri, which is a town that's Rachis Nara, by the river Nachin, by the Nachis River, right? Meaning a guy came to the bezdin and said, I had a shtar, I had a get, and it was written in this place, Shivri, that was on the water. We have to be chayshid that there's two cities called Shviri. And maybe this is not the one that it came from, right? Which, again, did they know that there was, why don't they take out an atlas or a map and see if there's two cities names like that? Here, Rav Huna's saying that, no, we have to be chayshid that there's two towns.
In the time of the Gemara?
I don't know, but if you don't know that there's such a city, you have to be chayshid that there's two cities with the same name.
Well, half of Taisvus on Beis Amud Aleph is about that.
Right.
There were two Kaddish, two Reckons, two everythings.
So we're assuming that there's two of everything. That's what you have to say. Two of everything. But Yeah, but then it comes even more limited because now we're choshed. Now we have to be choshed that there's more. You have to be choshed multiple cities. You have to be choshed multiple couples with the same name, right? Okay, so that's what Rav Huna said. If the get's no good, go look into this. Go look into this because watch out, Rav Huna is going to come ask you for a source for this. So Novak Dak Ba'ashkach, he went out and he found Rabah went out and he found a source. The Tanam we learned in the Mishna called Maisa Bezdin Hareze Yasir. Anything that's a Maisa Bezdin, meaning that it has the confirmation, the Bezdin confirmation on it. Hareze Yasir, then you give it back to whoever it came from, right? Yeah, meaning if it comes out from under Bezdin and it's confirmed by Bezdin, you have to give it back to whoever it came from. So you see that you're not concerned for multiple cities, multiple people, right? So that's what Rabah came up with. Now, so what's the stira? Rav Huna's Bezdin must have been a very busy Bezdin. So it's so busy, it's as if there's people constantly traveling back and forth. The kapasha yafsir and Rabah's paskening that you have to give it back. Right? I mean, you give it, we consider it legit. How could that be? Rabah just got finished saying that we have to, if it's two people with the same name, or if it's shiyaris mitsuyas, then you don't give it back. You just throw it in the garbage. And here he's saying that you don't throw it in the garbage. Yeah.
Shmuel David, way before the Gemara.
Okay.
So what?
When they had a map.
Oh, that's what he said.
I'm assuming that's the only thing I said tonight. So
I wasn't sure if this is a continuation of something this morning. I don't know.
No, I forgot everything.
Okay. Okay. Anyways, so you see one place Rabah says that you just throw the get in the garbage, and the other place where it was shiyaris mitsuyas, where people are constantly going, he says that it's okay. So it has to be that what's the difference? Right? One case he's saying shiyaris mitsuyas is a problem, and the other one is shiyaris mitsuyas is mitsuyas is not a problem. So it must be one is talking about where we know that there were multiple people with the same name in the town, and the other one is where there were multiple people. There were not multiple people with the same name. Alma. So we see then we say yes, and if not, then we're not. Fine. Okay, so that's how we're coming out. So over Rabah Uvda Bahu Gita. So Rabah did a Uvda. He actually had a story, but he Gita Dishtaka Bekisna. There was a get that was found in a Bekisna is like a place that they deal with flax in Pumpadisa. Ishmaitse, he did it like he said. Yeah. Now what does that mean? Some say what was the story? Some say that it was in a town that they soaked the flax. It was the flax soaking town. I guess different towns did different processes with the flax. And he was matter it. He said the get can go back even though there were no shiriyasa found. And some say it wasn't in a place that they washed, they soaked the kisner. It was a place where they sell it. And it's talking about where they were not matzah, that there were two people with the same name. And so there were caravans that were coming, right? And yet they still gave the get back, right? So basically, you see from whichever one of the Ikad Amris that you have here, you have three options. But you see that a get that was lost, but the shliach lost the get, you give it back to the shliach, all right? Unless you have both requirements, right? You have to know that there's somebody else with the same name, and then you have people constantly going back and forth. If you meet those two requirements, then you do not give back the get. You just swallow it or throw it in the garbage, whatever it is. Other than that, you give it back. Fine. So Rav Zeira Rami must need a Braysa. Rav Zeira asked the stira from the Mishna to a Braysa. Mashani, and he gave it teretz. Tanan, we learned that the Mishna maybe get pa, but himenu. The guy brought again. It got lost in Batzula Alter kosher. If he finds it right away, it's kosher. Then lav puzzle. But if he didn't find it right away, then it's puzzle, which is our Mishnah, right? That's our Mishnah. If you find it right away, it's kosher. You find it only after a while, it's puzzle. Or a minun ask a stira from a Mishnah, right? I'm sorry, Rimina is a Braysa. Rimina is a Braysa. What's a get Isha B'Shut? If a guy finds a get in the street, this is not Shabal Maida. When the Baal is Maida, that he says, oh yeah, this is my get, Yafsa Isha, you give the get back to the woman. Right? Meaning, how do you know? The concern here is, well, how do you know he actually divorced her? Maybe he wrote the get and never gave it to her. Right? Maybe, right? So, but you still, if he's Maida, you give it back. Ain't a Baal Maida. If the Baal is not Maida, lo Yafsa, lo Lezeh, lo Lezeh. You don't give it back, not to this one, not to that one. Right? Because it's what's that? No, thank you. Fine. Anyways, so the Braysa clearly says that if the Baal agrees that this get came from him, you give it back. If not, not. Habizman, on the beis now. Habizman, Shabal Maida, Mihas. That if the Baal is Maida, Yafsel Isha, Vafilu Lachara, Vafilu Bizman Meruba. It's master from the Braysa that even if it's a long time after the get was lost, let's say it was we'll see exactly how long a long time is, but even if it was a long time after the get was lost, you see that if the Baal is Maida that it's his, you give it back. Right? So it's a stira from our Mishna to this Braysa. Because our Mishna just says, doesn't differentiate. It just says if it's been a long time, you don't give back the get. But Mishani, Kanda Makam Shashayaras Matsuyas, Kanda Makam Shashayaras Matsuyas. One is talking about where you have these caravans, right? There has to be miyad. And Kanda Makam Shashayaras Matsuyas. And we're talking about where the Shayaras are not Matsuyas. Right? Hikadambi. Others say, "Who shehupsaku," but that's only where it's mufsik, that there's another married couple with the same names. Who the loylahada? That's when you don't give it back. Behind the Rabah, and this is like Rabah. Another pshat is even if there weren't names, it doesn't go back. The Rabah disagrees with Rabah. Right? So meaning we have two shittas of exactly whether this agrees with Rabah or doesn't agree with Rabah. Fine. Now we had two kashas. So one kasha was a Mishna to a Mishna, and one kasha was a Mishna to a Braysa. Right? So Mishna with the Rabah lo yamak Reb zeira. We understand why Rabah didn't say like Reb zeira, right? Because meaning Rabah and Reb zeira, Rabah said it was a Mishna, and Reb zeira said a Braysa. Right? So why did Rabah not go with Reb zeira? Masnisan alimale lakshuye, which is a big yisoid in Gemara right here. The reason why he wanted to ask from one Mishnah to another Mishnah is because a Mishnah to a Mishnah is considered more chashuv, right? Since Rebbe put it into the Mishnayos, that means it's much more of a solid source than the Braysas, right? That's why Rabah didn't say like Reb zeira. Reb zeira, my time Rabah. Why did Reb zeira not say like Rabah and ask a kasha from a Mishnah to a Mishnah? Why did he go to a Braysa? Does the Mishnah say if he says give the get, then you give it there? Even for a long time. Dilma im amar tnu naisten. Maybe what the Mishnah is saying is im amar tnu, if, right? Meaning im. How do you say this? It's confusing. Again, does it say im amar tnu naisten? Right? Does the husband say? Did he say give the get, then you give it to her? But feel is not ruba, even if it's a long time. Dilma, maybe the way you read the Mishnah is im amar tnu, not tnu. If he says give, then nice to the time alone, which would mean then louder, which would mean louder, right? Meaning it's not necessarily that you. This is the garrison to figure out exactly how this tiktuk works, right? But depending on how exactly you teach the Mishnah, you could end up saying that the Mishnah means that it can happen only right away, right? And it doesn't necessarily have to be after a long time, right? Yeah, I'm a little confused again with that, exactly how the taich is, right? It's not really a diktuk so much. It's really, we just don't know like how the emphasis is on the words of the Mishnah. Is it saying it like this is the way it is, or if? Yeah. Okay, whatever. Rav Yirmiyah, not whatever, but I'm saying that's yeah. Rav Yirmiyah Amar. Yeah, now they're gonna have a few different terutzim for how to answer the steer between these Mishnayos and the Braysa. Rav Yirmiyah Amar Kagoin, the Kamri Eidim is somewhere where the Eidim said, "May oilam loy chasamdu, el al get echad shel Yosef and Shimon." The Eidim said we only signed on one get. Right? So if the Eidim said we only signed on one get, so then it has to be that this is a legitimate get. Right? What's the chance? I guess we're going to have to say, what's the chances of the get being with the same name, same Eidim, but different people? Right? What are the chances? Meaning, they're saying, the Eidim are saying, we only signed on one get with this man's name, this woman's name in this town. Right? So we're going to assume that that's the only get that was given. Right? Because what's the chashash? That maybe there's two Eidim with the same names? Right? So that's
why we geyser? It means two Eidim with the same name and the same mother's name. That were choishish.
Right.
But the two with two Eidim that's too far right. I mean,
well, that's real. Yeah. That's the next line in the Gemara, really. But it's saying, it doesn't say pshat. Let's see. One second. So Gemara says, if that's the case, what's the chiddush, right? If the Eidim say that they only signed on one star with his name and her name, right? That's the only one they signed on. So of course you give it back. No, Mao the same. Now you would have thought Leitush Dilma Isrami Shma Kishma, right? Maybe you would happen to be there's the name. His name is the same as the name on another star, but Eidim to Eidim, and they have the exact same Eidim. You would have thought that Kamash Malan that we're saying that's too far. So that basically what it's saying is that it's too much to come up and say that his name is the same, her name is the same. I'm assuming the town has to be the same, and the same Eidim. It's too much. Now you're saying where do they draw the line? I don't know. Clearly they're drawing the line there, right? So I don't know. Fine, that's another terrace. Rashi Omar, if you're going to Kamar, Nekev Yeshboy Betzad Ois Ploinus. It's somewhere where they said that there was a hole next to a letter in the get. Tahavale Siman Muvik, it was a Siman Muvik, meaning they had a little hole in the parchment. The guy said, we know that this is my get because it had that little hole. Oh, so they had
Isn't that exactly
hole.
what the Mishnah is saying? The end of the Mishnah?
What? Because it was inside
that you're able to be makir. Our Mishnah. Yeah. You're saying that's l'chayra. That's not in the get. That's really where the get was, not
no,
something I'm just in saying, the get itself. Makira l'chayra means you use simanim, no? Otherwise, how do we prove makira?
You're right. But there, it's a siman of what the get is in, not from the get itself. No.
My nafkamina. The point is that that's the way you get your get back.
I'm not sure. I hear. I don't know if there would be enough kamina in the Shabbat that way. Could be.
No, I'm saying, well, is there more of a chiddush one way or another that we have to bring up that Mishnah and this Mishnah?
I don't know. Elam Mitzias enough. My kid is learning Elam Mitzias, so maybe I'll ask him. So
he's probably on an iPad right now.
What? He's bored right now, so maybe I could actually ask him.
Well, what's the problem with it being makira? Let's say it is makira.
Oh, he's saying that then it's the same case as the Seifa of the Mishnah.
Okay, we're not touching up our Mishnah. We're touching up
another Mishnah.
Yeah.
So the
right. So the stira.
1 second. Two Mishnayos are not mechadish the same thing. That's established in the Gemara. Two Mishnayos are not mechadish the same thing. A Braysa maybe, but two Mishnayos is definitely not mechadish the same thing. So if it's being mechadish the din of using simanim on a get, why do you need both Mishnayos for that?
Yeah, I hear. Okay, but then the Gemara says the dafka betzad ois ploinus to who davale siman muvik. See, maybe that's a difference, Akiva. The dafka they have to say which letter it's next to. But if it's stam in a hole, then not. Right? So now what's a pshat? Mesapkale, because he's not sure. Simonin is a siman. When you have a siman on something, either Raisa, either Rabban. Is the siman at the Raisa or the Rabban? Right? So Mamela, since he wasn't sure, so it has to be You have to have a real siman muvik, which is without a question a good siman. Rabah bar Chana irkaslei kita beimajoshes. Rabah bar Chana lost the get in the besmerish. Omar, he said, "Isimona isli begave." If you want a siman for me that it's my get, then I have one. Tvias ema ishi begave adur nehele. If you want a tvias ayin, then I also have that. Now tvias ayin is something that only works. Tvias ayin is tvias ayin is hold on a second. Tvias ayin is something that, meaning you recognize it. So that works for Talmidei Chachamim. We trust them that it's Tvias ayin is a siman. Some people we don't trust them, but Tvias ayin, yes. So Rabbi bar Chana was saying that I have a Tvias ayin. So Tvias ayin is the begavei adur in the hele. I'm going to give it, and then I'll. I'm sorry. Tvias ayin is the begavei. Either I have a siman or a Tvias ayin. So adur in the hele. They gave it back to him. Omar. So Rabbi Chana said, "Lo yadaina." I don't know. Even shum simana adure. I have no idea why they gave it back to me. They give it back to me because I said I had a siman, because obviously simonim deraisa, and I hold that a simonim is deraisa. Imishum tvias eina, or is it because tvias ayin and if a dafka tzumar derabana? But that's the main tvias ayin only works for a talmid chacham, right? Avo inish ba'amaloi, but stama person will tvias ayin will not work. So he wasn't sure, right? He wasn't sure that whether they mocked it because of siman or because he was a talmid chacham, right? And the pshat is Tosfos here says the pshat is because even though everybody has believed with tvias ayin, but a talmid chacham is going to be very careful to make sure that he knows exactly what he saw. Some person could stop and say, "Oh yeah, I recognize it," right? But a talmid chacham will make sure that he's very sure of what it is, right? When we come up with tvias ayin is if somebody, that comes up a lot now with what do you call it? DoorDash deliveries and what's it called?
Uber Eats.
Google Eats and all that stuff. So sometimes it comes and what? So sometimes it comes and the package is open. The package is open, so then they ask, "Can we eat it? How do we know that the guy didn't replace it?" So one of the heterim is tvias ayin. If you know that you ordered a face from a sandwich place and you recognize the sandwich that this is the type of sandwich that this place gives, then the tvias ayin is going to say that it works, right? Yeah. Okay, let's go. I guess let's go a little bit back. So we said that if it's not right away, if you don't find the get right away, then it's puzzle. So what does it mean? Right? What does it mean that it's not la'alter? Meaning, how long a time? So it's long enough that a caravan came and Tishra dwelled there, right? They stayed there. If you don't have enough time that the caravan could have come and set up camp, then that's not enough. Then that's right. Again, it doesn't say exactly how much time that is, but enough time that they should set up camp. Yeah. But there's a question on this, right? Because how do you know if caravans are constantly coming back and forth? So how do you know? Right? How do you know it didn't come from this one, from that one? So if it's like not so common, then fine. But if it's a place that there's people steadily streaming through this, and then la'alta should be right away. Okay. So that's one thing. Enough that they should settle in. A person should stand up and see right? That nobody passed there. Meaning, it doesn't mean that it's amount of time. It could take a year. As long as from when the guy found the get, nobody walked by there, then that's still considered la'alta. Right? Some say that there's no other person stayed there, not walked there, but no person settled in there. Nobody ever settled in there,
I mean, that's not a definition of alter.
It's not right. So you're saying alter, yeah, and a chanam. You're right. How do you fit that into the word alter?
I mean, how could alter mean a year?
Meaning, yeah, because I guess alter means that a person had to settle in there right then and there. If he didn't settle in there right then and there, that's not enough. That's the only way I can understand it. Right? So again, there's two pshat. One says that as long as nobody passes by, that's still okay. And the other one says that he has to stay there. Now, I don't know exactly how long he has to stay, but he has to stay there. Rabbi Yomer could they lift up as a get, the amount of time that it would take to write a get. Now, is it a get with the pre-filled out like yesterday's stuff, or is that a get from scratch? I don't know. Right? Rabbi Yitzchak Yomer could they l'kraisai in order to the amount of time to read a get. Others say that it's in order to read it and to write it and to read it. Bafilu, so Gemara says, Bafilu Shah, even if it stays there and it wasn't found right away, v'yesh by simanim, and it has simanim, even a lot then we say edus about it. Right? The Amri, it's on to what Aleph now. The Amri, Aisha Matsu Bein Caleb, whether he found it in
Tiago, I think you skipped.
What did I do? I
skipped
did
3 lines. 3 lines.
I'm sorry. I don't want to.
Gershon again. Nobody asked you.
Yeah.
Aaron, that was me. You could scream at me.
No, so I guess because I'm using an iPad, so I scrolled it up and then I thought. So okay, thank you for catching that. The Afilu Shah. So the Gemara again going back 5 lines up at the bottom. Afilu Shah, even if there was a long time. And you didn't find the get right away, v'yesh by simanim, and it has simanim, then me'idin alav, then we could they could say edus that they know they give simanim, and then the star is going to go back to its owner. Damri, right? Damri, what kind of siman is going to say nekav yesh by b'tzad ois blindness? That there's a hole next to a certain ice. Ve'im midin al simanei aguf, but they cannot say edus on the siman of the body. The Amri Aruch the goods to say like it was a long get or it was a short get, right? Because that's not enough. Meaning that's not a siman, because you sometimes have getting that are longer, you have getting that are shorter. Yeah. Then it says right, the matzu kosher b'kis b'arniki with tabas. If you found it, if the get was tied to a wallet, I guess it's a wallet, an arniki, one's a I don't know, wallet, a bag. Tabasa to a ring on Tamar Aleph now, Aishamatsu Bein Caleb, or he finds it between the Caleb. Rashi says it means in his house. I feel it was man meruba, even if it was man meruba, it's kosher. Meaning the guy lost the get. He lost the get somewhere in his house, but it's connected to something, to a wallet or to in his utensils. So that's enough. So Idmar of Yudam or Shmuel halacha shaloisha adam sham. Halacha says. That's where nobody else. What does it mean that la'alter? It means that somebody didn't stay there for a bit. Meaning we had about 5 pshatim or 6 pshatim what la'alter means. The paskened that it means that as long as nobody came by and hung out there, then that's considered la'alter. The halacha is that a person didn't pass there, not stay there. That as long as a person didn't pass there, right? Why didn't each one just say the halacha is like the Mandamar who said that din? Why did they have to repeat the din, right? I mean, why do you say halacha shaloy adam or halacha is like Rabah Bar Chana, right? Shaloy over, and the other shita was halacha shaloy adam, meaning why are they saying the shitas again? Why don't they just say the name of the Mandamar? Well, it says mishum da'afni lahu, because sometimes people mix up the names and they're not sure. Like I do this all the time. I can't ever remember who says what on any shita, right? So we're afraid that you're going to mix up the shitas. Oh, the halacha is like Shmuel. Okay, what did Shmuel say? Shah or Avar? So like this, he said the halacha is like Shmuel, that it's Avar, or the halacha is like Rabbi Bar Chana who says Shah, right? Yeah. Okay, let's just finish with a Mishna, I guess. If you find it in a jar or something like that, my chvisa. So what is chvisa? Chamas katana. That's a small flask, I think they teach you. My deluskama tulika desabi. It's some sort of box for old people. Yeah, I don't know exactly. I don't know. Rashi says a chaka balaz. I don't know if it's from the word chinik. I don't know. It means it's like a box that they keep their valuables in, right? I guess what we would call the old coffee cans that the people kept. Chachka maybe. Chachka. Whatever it is, those are the descriptions of the thing. Okay, we'll stop over here. I appreciate the Oilam tuning in a little early. And the Oilam should be matzliach.
Go ahead. Have a good fly.
Thank you.
It's pouring here now, Yaakov.
Oh, so maybe that's a shot.
Just started pouring, yeah.
So I don't know. Now my kids say the plane is not even here. So it's supposed to board already.
Be thunderstorms for the first half of the night here in New York.
Oh yeah, I hear. All right. I hope I'll. Yeah.
The Gemara before Lagabe, the din of if Simanim are derais Rabbanan. So Rashi says that if it's Rabbanan, it would be a problem.
The what? What are you saying?
The Gemara before that says if they're masapile, whether Simanim are derais or Rabbanan. So
Right.
Rashi says if it's Rabbanan, it would be a problem because how would you be then how would you ever use the get because it's a din deraisa. So why wouldn't they apply the din of Mishum Aguna at that point? And a cold to Mekadosh, died to Rabbanan Mekadosh. Don't we apply don't the Gemara and other places in Gittin apply the idea that since you're Mekadosh, died to Rabbanan Mekadosh, they could agree Davar Minatayra? Meaning, why is it any worse than Hefker Bez and Hefker, if need be?
You want to say that the Simonim is not Hefker Bez and Hefker? That's what you're saying?
Meaning the same way we say in other places that Mekadosh is the Rabbanan Mekadosh.
Right. So
then why can't we apply the din of, even if you say Siman and Rabbanan, it's based on the same Rabbanan that are your Mekadosh is the Rabbanan.
So you're saying the Rabbanan is one that says
the problem. When it comes to Mammon, you could say Hefker Bez and Hefker. But when it comes to Yisurim, like Kedushin, you can't apply the same side of Hefker Bez and Hefker. First of all, why can't you apply the same way we say Lagabe Mekadosh I did to Rabbanan Mekadosh?
I hear. I don't know. If you want
I'm
to say
saying Masad the din of Mishum Miguna.
Right. And if it's Simonim and Deraisa, so then what do you want to say?
No, the Simonim and Deraisa, of course it works. The Gemara, the problem is the Rabbanan. Rashi says,
right?
Because then you can only say the Gabi Mammon is because of Hefker Bez and Hefker. But for Eishes Ish, Rashi says it would be a problem.
Right.
That's the Masapali if Simonim are Deraisa Rabbanan.
I hear.
So you can't be Samchinan on Simonim if it's only Rabbanan.
Right. I hear. I don't know. I wasn't sure what this whole Simonim thing is, to be honest with you. So I guess we'll have to wait till Bava Metzia, no?
I don't know. I mean, we're going to talk about the union of Kol Mekadosh, no? So it would tie into that. No, there are Eiker Davar. There are cases in Gittin where there are Eiker Davar Minatayra, no?
I don't remember them offhand.
They even use the svar. I think Rashi even used the svar of Hefker Bez and Hefker that Kol Mekadosh is the Rabbanan were mafker the moment is they use the Mekadosh.
I hear. I don't know.
Those things are only when it's to get out of a real issue.
This is a real problem here.
It's not. It's returning a get.
Yeah, but let's say he's dead. I don't know.
Well, you can't return it anyway. What do you mean? It's not. We're not talking about the kashrus of a get. We're not talking about suba. We're not talking about. We're talking about someone finds a get.
Right, and we want to give it to this woman. or chashina.
If the woman's divorced, she knows she's divorced. If not, she's not.
Not divorced. She wants to get divorced, and now we're putting in her. It's who the husband could be 1,000 miles away at this point.
We have no idea. She might be divorced
I understand.
It might be hers already.
We should allow the get to go forward.
It's not necessarily there's a Mishum Guna here. She may have received it already. She's the one who lost.
She didn't. The shliach is trying to get it back so he could give it to her. That's the case. I'm saying.
Oh, the Mishna's case.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know. All the other cases are not necessarily.
No, I'm saying in the case of the Mishnah, when you find a get, he's Messiah.
Our Mishnah is the only case where it's talking about a shliach.
We're talking about a shliach in the Mishnah.
Yes, our Mishnah. I don't know what all these.
In the case of our Mishnah, when he says it's far,
hold on, I keep it. The simanim in the Gemara was not talking about our Mishnah. The simanim was talking about A, the Braysa, and B, the other Mishnah. I don't know what the other Mishnah is talking about. Shliach, Adam, stam finding.
I mean, I don't know, but
I don't know. Our Mishnah is talking about a shliach. We don't.
And if you were to use simanim in our Mishnah,
I don't know. Whatever makira means, I don't know what that means. But it's not a real simon. We're relying on. He found it in his house, in his kalim. That's most of it. And then makira means not guts, not a regular simon, a simon muvah. So that would work. That's different than the regular simanim. So I don't think in our Mishnah we do rely on simanim.
I don't know. I got no opinion. I'm sitting in a boiling hot, packed terminal. It's like nuts.
Isn't it? Wow.
Yeah.
That's lucky. Is it warmer inside or outside?
No, it's definitely colder inside, but it's a disaster.
Yeah.
With people of all forms of undress. I had this fight with my brother Sholem. I said, you got to fly private because you save so many yisurim. He didn't have it. He was very unhappy with me. He said, so don't go. He said, don't go. He's very anti the
flying private.
Yeah.
Why?
That's right. Not right. What do you mean? How many preachers you see of it? You have the money to afford not going on the preachers. You shouldn't. And Braysa was sitting in an airport, but you got hilarious half dressed. So you got sometimes you have to go.
Right. There's no reason.
That's true. Nobody said you should. Anyway, whatever. Hot button topic.
Yeah.
You need me to go with you to get a drink? All right. Signing
off. That's why I don't fly private.
That's why, yeah. Okay.
If Paul doesn't fly private, I'm not flying private. That's the only reason I fly private.
Stick with him, man. Yeah. Stick with him. You'll get further. Anyways, whatever. I have to call.
Thank you.
Thank you.